Hi, I'm Dylan Blaylock with Clackamas County Public Affairs, and today we are at a Safe Place Family Justice Center here in Oregon City. I'm with Clackamas County Sheriff Craig Roberts and Clackamas Women's Services Executive Director Melissa Erlbaum. Today we are coming to you with our second in a series of videos about how strangulation during an act of domestic violence is now a felony in Oregon rather than a misdemeanor. So, Melissa, we're going to go ahead and start with you. First off, for those individuals who don't know about a Safe Place Family Justice Center, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. A Safe Place Family Justice Center opened in 2013. It's a collaboration of multiple partners that includes the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, Clackamas Women's Services, Legal Aid, and many other partners here on site at the Family Justice Center. And when you come to the Family Justice Center and you walk in the door, you can make choices about who you want to talk to. There's confidential advocates from Clackamas Women's Services available, and that means that any part of your story that you want to share with them remains confidential. And then you can access all of the other partners at the center all in one place. Our goal is to wrap you with support when you come in and have the courage to tell your story and walk with you through that process of safety and healing.
Okay, great. And my understanding is that you served, Safe Place served 5,500 individuals last year. There were 5,500 visits and about nearly 500 protective orders. Is that right?
That's true, yes. Yeah. We're really busy at a Safe Place. It's a great place to walk into and feel welcomed and supported, and we would love to support you in your journey of healing, and we welcome the community to come in and do tours. This is really a community effort.
And how prevalent is domestic violence in the country or Clackamas County?
Sure. So we know that 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence, about 1 in 7 men. That's a lot of folks throughout the community. I can tell you, having been doing this work for a little over 20 years now, that more than likely you do know someone in your life that's experienced domestic violence. That could be a coworker, a family member, or a friend, a neighbor. And so that's why it's really important for us to look at this issue really broadly and understand that it impacts multiple areas of our community.
Well, that is shocking and saddening, but now we have the law in place. And Sheriff Roberts, stopping domestic violence has been a priority of the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and you personally for some time now. You advocated in Salem last year for the passage of the law. Thank you very much for that. What exactly does the law do?
Well, first of all, just to talk about Salem for a second, is just a lot of amazing people came down there to support this bill. Melissa and her staff, many survivors were down there giving their testimony, which was extremely difficult, but it really now gives us the ability to hold those offenders accountable for a serious crime of strangulation. And so this, prior to this bill being enacted, if someone strangled their partner, the only time it was a felony if a child happened to witness it. So it now gives us ability to make sure that whether a child's there or not, that it is a felony, and we can really hold that offender accountable for a serious felony.
And there's a difference now with pressure on the chest, is that right?
Absolutely. So it's not just placing your hands around the neck of another person, but if you restrict their breathing in any way, whether it's on their chest or in any other fashion, again, we can hold them accountable for a felony of strangulation.
And Sheriff, why in your view, are some other reasons why the law is so important? What do we know about strangulation and what people who strangle tend to do?
A really good question. And first of all, the physical impact that it has on survivors is dramatic. I want to emphasize that. But also on top of that, that nationwide, that we see individuals that strangle their partners also kill law enforcement. And right here in our own community in Oregon City, sadly, Officer Lipke was killed by an individual who had strangled his partner and then killed Officer Lipke. So these are high-risk offenders, and most importantly is we want to make sure that we're doing all we can to protect survivors, and by holding them accountable for a felony of strangulation is one step in doing that.
Okay. And Melissa, here at A Safe Place, you and your staff come into a lot of contact with domestic violence victims and survivors. What do you think the effect of this law's passage is going to be on them? How are they going to take it? How are they taking it so far?
Sure. So when people come forward to report the crime of domestic violence and the crime of strangulation, it's really important that we take it seriously. This law enables law enforcement and the criminal justice system. It gives them a tool to hold offenders accountable, and that's really important to victims. When they come forward and share that story, when they make that report, we need to be able to take it very seriously, and this allows us to do that. More importantly, to me as an advocate in the field, is I believe that this is going to help link victims to support services and to medical treatment. We know that the impacts of strangulation can be not always visible and can be long-term, similar to a traumatic brain injury, for example.
Okay.
And so we want to make sure that we're taking it seriously as a whole system, and therefore that information is getting to survivors and they're getting the support and the medical attention that they might need.
Okay, great. And Sheriff Roberts, what has Clackamas County what have we done in years past to stem acts of domestic violence, and what have we done to prepare for this change?
Well, I think first and foremost is that we believed collectively, Melissa and myself, it is about working together to better protect survivors, and whether they want to call law enforcement at 911 or call CWS, a confidential line, and seek advice about safety planning and many other things, we do our best when we're working together. And one of the things that is also important along this same thought is making sure that all our frontline responders are highly trained on this issue of strangulation. What are the signs to look for, making sure they get medical treatment. And one of the things that we collectively had done together was provide a training where we're coming together. Clackamas County Strangulation Response is making sure all the disciplines are doing their very best to protect survivors that have experienced strangulation.
Right. And one of the reasons why that training is so important for police officers and for all staff is because injuries with strangulation often are very hard to detect and see. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks. Great info. Melissa, anything else to add?
Sure. I think I would just like to thank the community for their support in this effort. As the sheriff mentioned, it really was a collaborative effort between multiple disciplines. I think this sends a clear message to perpetrators that we're going to hold them accountable, but I think it also sends a very clear message to victims that we care, that we take this very seriously. Victims will often describe that experiencing strangulation is one of the most terrifying things that they've ever gone through. They feel close to a loss of life. And this is by somebody that they trust or care about, that's an important person in their life causing this level of harm. So the effects and the impacts emotionally, psychologically, physically can be there for a very long time. And I think coming together to address this as a community, we're showing victims that we care and we take it as seriously as we should.
Right. Sheriff?
And one of the things I'd like to emphasize is if you're a family member that knows somebody else that's experiencing domestic violence, it doesn't have to be the survivor to make that call. And you can call Clackamas Women's Services, a confidential line at 503-654-2288, and would encourage you to step up as well, because oftentimes people are suffering in silence, and we're encouraging you to make that first step and reach out.
Thanks for saying the crisis line number there. We're going to put that up in the post of this Facebook Live in just a few minutes. And also, if you want to find out more about a Safe Place Family Justice Center, which again is just such a tremendous resource for the community, please check out asafeplacefjc.org. Again, we'll put that in the post as well. So I want to thank Melissa from Clackamas Women's Services for everything you do. Yes, it's really a tremendous resource that we have here in Oregon City for the entire county. And Sheriff, thank you very much for everything you've done to try to stem domestic violence and for going down to Salem last year. So for Dylan Blaylock and Clackamas County Public Affairs, thanks very much.